Okay, this is the Curriculum and Instruction Committee meeting for May 2019, May 13th. And it's 6 o'clock. I'm Julia Olafson. We have here Mr. Mike Wolf, Dr. Kruper, Mr. Hurley, Dr. Sincere Pino, Mr. Spores, and Mr. McKnight here, and Stephen Miller from the board should be here momentarily. We have members of the public, and we have a full slate of things to talk about, so let's just get going with number one, PACE survey.
Okay. So Dr. Cooper reached out, asked me to put together some notes on the Pennsylvania Youth Survey because it's not without some consideration and some sensitive topics. So we wanted to share with the Curriculum Committee some information about it for your review and then a recommendation going forward. So we'll kind of quickly walk through each of the pieces. So what is it? It's a biannual survey of 6th, 8th, and 10th grades, 12th grade students. It's been administered in the fall since '89. Essentially what it does is it collects some sensitive information via surveying the students. It has a lot to do with what kids think or believe about social and antisocial behaviors, about hopefulness, about some alcohol use, drug use. It's all anonymous, okay? In the state, there's about 270,000 students. 417 of the 500 school districts do participate in this. Additionally, what it does, all the counties are represented, and it provides kind of insights regionally as well as what's going on. You know, it's no secret that we as a community, as all communities, have had some serious challenges around drugs. And I will just say in the opioid issue, it has played out for our kids at around age 20. I don't necessarily believe there's a strong use amongst our kids at the high school level, but I think the gateway kind of behaviors, prescription things they get out of their parents' homes, and then leads down the road to engaging much cheaper opioids as they get older. And sadly, we've lost a number of kids and young adults, you know, in our community. So the surveys are, as I said, anonymous and confidential. No student information is used, obtained, shared in any way. It's housed at Pennsylvania, at the in the state government. Facts about it is the data that is often used then in four domains: community, school, family, peer to individual. It allows us to kind of design programming because we can have trends about what's happening in our school system. So much of the program that we're looking at, you know, whether it be through Karen or through other groups, you know, to support our kids earlier, have earlier proactive intervention, you know, would be helpful if we had this information in our hand. Now, my understanding, and I was talking to Rob about this, it has not been something that we've really engaged here in Daniel Boone. I know other school districts have, and I think that because of the sensitive nature in the past, some people have kind of been apprehensive about taking on these topics. But I think if we're going to serve our students to the fullest possibility, we should at least know the information. What we do about it as a group, collectively, as a board, as school leaders, as teachers, that's the next most important question after we figure how to target our service points. So.
President, is this a voluntary survey?
It is 100% voluntary.
Do we know what percentage do they share what percentage of our students actually partake in it?
Well, none of ours do right now because we don't administer to our students. This is what we're talking about tonight. Is the permission really from the board to engage it and endorse us administering it.
So we're not one of the 417?
We are not. Okay. We are not. And we're missing out on some vital information that we could probably use to guide us. And that kind of goes back to your point here, that this is, you know, once you have these essential components and identifiers, then we can target some grant money. There is grant money available at the state level for us to be able to engage programming and support, you know, other interventions and proactive measures that we really can't access because we haven't participated necessarily in these areas.
So there are some grant opportunities statewide that if you identified a need through doing this survey, you are then eligible
to compete for. Right?
Got it.
So I'll let Dr. Cooper, because I know that they did it at Boyertown, he can speak to it a little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah, because of the recognition of the survey being what it is and a statewide survey, and you can see the sheer volume of districts that have participated in the past. And you know, there are some sensitive topics surrounding mental health, drug, alcohol, and tobacco use. They're sensitive topics, but it provides concrete information and data on where we would stand as a school community related to these topics to see if we can further enhance our programming that's going to best support our students moving forward. You know, the component that in my experience is found to be very useful and very helpful for us is that of the mental health piece, where the whole social and emotional learning piece, and the uptick and the increase in the number of referrals that we've seen, and not only in our district but across the state, of suicidal ideations and attempts and those sort of things as it relates to mental health, would better be able to inform us in making decisions that are going to benefit our kids from a programming standpoint.
And to give you an idea of the level of mental health that we're currently dealing with, the high school just crossed its 20th suicidal ideation. I talked to Jenny, they had 10, talked to Megan, they had 5, so it's about a half rate. Each step up to 35 students have articulated enough that we had to have counselor intervention. So it's a real issue, as we all know. But
It's this school year?
what's that?
This
school year,
Okay.
correct. Correct.
Okay.
All right, so here it's essentially, as I said, in the 4 domains. I think I hit that one before, the identifies. We kind of touched that. So here's the timeline of the event. Dr. Cooper, I guess, received this information in April and sent it forward. We're kind of having this conversation with you guys at this point. I'll gladly send you this PDF so you all can look at it going forward. But essentially, it's administered in September through November, and then we get a report 1 year later, from the beginning of the process, about a half year later from the survey point. In time, really, if we get it by April, an opportunity to design program, bring it forward at curriculum, to discuss it and say, okay, here's what we're looking to implement, this targeted, piece or right for this grant.
Okay.
And along the bottom, you can see if anyone wants to reach out directly to the project leader, there's a phone number across and an email across the bottom if anyone wants to dig in a little deeper.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there like a practice test, if you want to call it that we could look at to?
There are sample questions. If you can you go back?
Yep.
I think I can go back. Can I go back?
Did you guys?
Yeah, I'm looking.
I mean, to
There it is.
derail you.
This one?
There are a release of sample questions that they do release to give you an idea of what some of those questions
And I can send them to you because there's much more in the original, like if you go to the site, but I figured they give you like the 20,000 foot view of it today, but I can drill down to whatever you want and send it to you.
So, do our teachers administer the survey to the kids?
Generally
or-
speaking, my experience is it's done in a homeroom kind of environment, extended
So, like,
time.
so-
We would create a schedule. The high school administration would create a schedule for the students to be able to take it. Now, you don't have to. You can choose to do it in the middle schools. It's grades 6, 8, 10, and 12.
Yeah.
You can choose which grade you want to give it to. My experience is high school has been done, and then 8th grade has been done. It hasn't, my experience is we haven't tapped into 6th grade.
You haven't done 6th grade
For
yet.
it. But 8th, 10th, and 12th, so they would create the schedule. It can be given or administered electronically or through a paper version. It's just a matter of what the district decides would work best for them.
So, like, if we did do this for next year, we could do electronically for 10th and 12th, and like paper for 8th.
That could be a possibility. That
right.
would work best for us if we take a look at what we need for from an electronic standpoint.
I think that kids might be a little bit more certain of the anonymity of the test if it were just done electronically. If it just like you push submit and then it's gone, instead of something with their handwriting sitting around the homeroom.
Last time at the middle school, last time we did PACE in the district, it was done at the middle school under computer application.
Electronically.
And we have done it. Okay. When did we stop doing it?
There was some pushback from the community and the board because of some of the questions.
Oh.
That's why it was done.
Which is why I wanted to bring it forward again. I mean, I think there's been a gap where the district has not been able to collect some data that's been important to collect, I believe.
I did this when we did it before. Was the school able to find value in the?
Yes,
Yeah.
very valuable. It does
Yeah,
have some
okay.
color.
How long ago was it, Rob?
It was a while, it was at least 6 years ago, 5 years ago when it happened. Like, I don't know if you were like, there was a gap where
This
you
is
were
my
on
first
the-
year on the
yeah.
CNI, so.
Yeah, so I don't know if you were, that was the gap where you were on. When you were on.
Okay. Do you have any
No,
questions? I mean, I don't.
No, I guess-
I don't think that there's any. There's always value in getting more information. You know, especially if it's information that maybe kids would be reluctant to share
Yeah,
with
I
their
agree.
teachers
At this point, we
or their
wanna see the
parents.
question, since there was some controversy in the past, just to
Yeah.
see what they look like.
Yeah.
I can't imagine why there would be, but just curious.
Yeah.
I mean, it's anonymous that you're filling out the survey. It should also be anonymous whether you took it or not.
Right. Right. And
Yeah, I don't want to, if you don't want to
Yeah.
take the test, you just don't go to this class and everybody knows who the kids are.
Right, there's an opt-out, students. There's a bunch of kids.
and that's where I'm, I without knowing more about what pushback you were getting, I don't have a lot of frame of reference because to me, there's always the option like, well, I'm done with that if that question makes me uncomfortable as a 14-year-old, I guess, but I don't really see any.
When you look at it since if it was 5 or 6 years ago, how many incidents of school violence has there been? They said, well, it's come down to a mental health issue that these kids knew.
And frankly, how many suicides have we had
Sure.
just here in the school district? There,
Maybe opinions might have evolved over the last
I would hope
many
so.
years with what's taking place. I don't know.
I would, I think I will in between today and when we actually vote on it, going forward as a board. I will take a look at some of the sample questions, but I wouldn't have a problem. Like, would you feel like you would want to do that before you'd even want to vote to recommend going forward, guys?
I'd want to see sample what the questions are.
Okay.
Unless we're going to hold up a timeline that's critical and
What do you think, Dr. Cooper
I
and
don't
Dr.
think
Mr. McKnight?
that- I don't think, with the timeline being, where it is, reach the school, go to the student sample.
If we
If we could vote in
June?
something by June.
if we could get put together a little bit of some of the sample questions, maybe some of the is the information broadly available for? Are we only allowed to see what information is being gotten from our school? As members of the public, could we look and see like kind of what information is being collected
It'll have
from
state
PACE?
trend- it'll have state
Like
trends.
in general.
It'll have state trends, it'll have district trends.
That's what I meant, so I would like to see kind of what they're seeing from the students and maybe some sample questions, and then we could vote in June. Does that sound good?
Rob, was the pushback more public or public pushing the board?
It was, I think there were concerns in please, this was a while
I
ago.
understand.
It was back in, I was actually at the building level when this occurred. I think some of the questions that they thought that were overly invasive in regards to, there were questions about like alcohol use at home, I think, and I think that's where it came about.
I see.
Yeah, so that's my recollection, guys. That was 5.
That's fair,
I'm just going to throw out an idea. Would it be helpful if we try to get the families at least notified that we're considering it? Try to get ahead of the social media blowback that happens so often when they hear something like this, and get the facts out there. Get them educated as far as what its purpose is. The real underlining of why we would be considering doing it. And see if we could engage some parents maybe that do have some concerns, and you could get ahead of.
So I guess where they would be, offering their input would be here in June when we would be voting on it. So that would make sense to, if people have something to say, this is where they should come, I would say. in June.
Now, would it be the intent of us to say yes to 6, 8, 10, and 12, or just go 8, 10, and 12?
I think 8, 10, and 12 sounds
Whatever
reasonable
your
if that's what we've done in the
recommendation
past.
is, Where are the key points that you want to correct?
We can always go back to go to the lower grade in the future.
I mean, just kind of slow walking this back in again, I think,
Yeah.
an eighth grade would be the bottom end of it at this point. So we
think
could
that's
put
fair.
some pre-information together and share with, via website or via electronic letter to both the high school and the middle school parents.
Well, if you're gonna, I'm not trying to predict that there'll be any blowback, but if you really think it should start at 6th grade, is it just rip the Band-Aid off and start at 6th grade and make the case now for those folks if you feel the data from that group is going to be of value, because those kids are coming into middle school and you're not going to touch them again to the very end.
Because it's the pay service is every 2 years, I believe, is when it's administered. So
I was thinking 6th grade kids maybe give you a picture of what's going on in, like, 4th and 5th grade, like if you catch them, because you're catching them right at September, so they're really still, like that 6th grade might give you kind of an eye into that intermediate
Intermediate
center.
world.
Yeah.
If it's worthwhile, go for it. Don't cut off a group like that. My opinion, anyway.
Yeah,
I do think, like you were saying, if we get out ahead of this, I think we'll be fine. I know that wasn't done before. It was just done and then dealing with
Well,
it.
as you can see, look all the public that comes out, to
It's
talk
true.
about this. So, yeah, that's the only way I know to engage them is bring it up and, get people talking about it. And then we're going to make a decision on it, as Julia said, in June and next month, and have people come and ask hard questions. And
yeah, we'll get something put together to get out to the parents of middle school and high school kids within the next week.
And we'll get you guys a sample information packet.
Yeah, like I was saying before, if it is the recommendation that we're going to go forward, if it's the recommendation of the it is definitely the recommendation of the administration, whether we vote that way or not. Whether we start at 6th or 8th grade, I don't have a strong opinion. I just want to defer to what you guys think makes sense.
Okay.
But I definitely think we need to start in the middle school. The problems don't just automatically start in 9th grade. Okay, we ready to move on to the next one?
The MTSS update, just to continue, and we meet weekly at the high school. The MTSS team meets. That now is expanded beyond the special ed team and into the general regular teacher piece. So we have, 20 people attend. Tracy, what do you think? 20 that come to that? Yeah, about 20 people, half regular ed, half special education. And the model is, it's a 5-year grow out, and we have teacher engagement. The next piece that's happening is co-teaching will be on May 16th and May 22nd will be training. The teachers are going to co-teach on the Keystone courses. We also have what we'll call, for lack of a better term, an intervention period that's happening during the day where all the special education teachers can meet with their caseload in addition to the co-teaching environment. Frank and Aaron have designed that out in the schedule, and it's going to fit pretty cleanly, it looks like.
Nice.
So many, positive first steps, but it's a long, slow grow out over a 5-year period. And then also we'll start to look at the results of some of that grow out and moving it down through the K-8 system.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a systemic approach to what's happening, not only with our special needs students, but collectively. And the two elements kind of ties to the next point. I wasn't sure if Rob would be here tonight, but on the ATSI piece, we were at the IU. They asked me to let Rob hit on that in a second. But the two main areas that we are targeted are curriculum instruction and assessment alignment, and MTSS. Those are the two goals that we have with the state. Both pieces, the formatting of the curriculum mapping pieces is in draft form, and the MTSS model is in draft and conversation and design at the high school level. So Do you want to hit on the?
Yeah, I mean, basically, we're still working through, we have an idea of what we want to do for our ASTI program, working through lining up the document in regards to what the state is required for us to turn in. We will be bringing that to the board when we are completed, and publicizing that when we are completed.
Can I ask what ATSI stands for?
Additional targeted support and improvement, and that brings me to something. When you see me on my phone when you guys are talking, I am looking up these acronyms, so that when just remember that we're not educators.
Additional targeted supports
and improvement.
Oh, okay.
Well, Shelley aligned like I said, the training for co-teaching on the afternoon of the 16th and the 22nd. All our special education teachers will be trained there, and then the regular teachers who will be co-teaching are in that training. That's the first step in the implementation. There will be a summer opportunity for collaboration, and then ongoing, guided practice, review, structure, support throughout all of next year.
And that's the one that is spearheaded by the BCIU. You said, okay. All right, and MTSS, the new 5-year plan, that's being spearheaded by us.
Yes, I mean it's not our concept.
No, I understand that.
Right, correct. That's happening at the high school and
Got it. Okay.
Michelle, comprehensive planning.
So just kind of an update. May 20th is our hopefully last comprehensive planning meeting. You're certainly welcome to attend if that fits your schedule. We'll be meeting on the 3rd floor of this building.
8 to 3:30ish. I want to say something at the meeting. I just couldn't remember.
Okay. Lunch will be provided and breakfasty snacks will be.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, we have, as a whole group, identified mission, vision, what a Daniel Boone graduate looks like, some priority focus areas, and so the next step to that is to take those 5 priority focus areas and map them out over 5 years. So what does that look like year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, and year 5? So at the end of that day, hopefully, we'll have that mapped out and kind of have come to consensus, sort of like we did with the first couple of pieces of this process. That has to be to PDE by the end of October, which means it has to be to you guys for your first look in June. It needs to go out 30 days to the public for their review, and then it needs to get a final board approval prior to October. So hoping to get that to the board for the June meeting for your first look and approval to put it out publicly.
Okay, let me just make sure I have that right. So, so it has to be a PDE by the end of October. First look to the board by June, and to the public, because it needs to be out for 30 days of comment before it's finalized, and so final has to be sometime before October.
Right.
A final board approval.
Final board approval. So
okay.
Like everything else, we have to leave it out in the public for 30 days after your.
That's still cutting it close because we don't have a board meeting in July.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think if we leave it for the month of July as public, then we can come back to it.
Right. That makes sense.
Or September. So that was sort of the time frame to be able to say, okay, at the end of June, we're good to put it out for public comment through the summer, and then come back either August or September.
Sounds good.
And get it out there. So that's where we're at. Everyone's certainly welcome to attend if your schedule works to do that.
Okay.
So the next piece is the virtual academy, and this is in like the very, 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 very beginning stages of that. So Mr. Matson and I, and Aaron actually, had a meeting with the folks from Edgenuity regarding what they can provide for us as far as programming that could kind of turn into a virtual academy. The objective, long-range objective, is to get our kids that are out in our cyber charters back to us. So there is some legislation pending that we offer a similar program, then that becomes a school choice that parents would have to pay for. So it's to our benefit to have a program in-house. It's to our benefit financially now because we can keep them, but long-term it's to our benefit because we can offer similar programming. So we met virtually with Elena from Ingenuity. She shared their product with us, and she just shared some sandbox accounts for us to play around in a little bit. So we're starting that process. So
Okay.
basically, just I wanted you to know that we're starting that process. But we did have a good meeting with her, and they do have a product that gives us a lot of flexibility in-house, and it also gives us, I think, if we start thinking big picture on that kind of idea of continual learning, it gives us some options perhaps to do some community things. They have a GED component that is available online, and so we've had some sort of pie in the sky conversations around, oh, well, if we do that kind of thing, then we can offer our own sort of GED kind of program for our community. And as long as it's less expensive than somebody else's, it could also be a way for us to have a revenue stream and kind of that idea of adult education and community education that came up as part of comprehensive planning. So that piece is ongoing, and they really did have a product that was really interesting.
Is this a cloud-based service or something that we?
It's all web-based.
Okay,
so that was one of our first questions to her, because in some of the providers, they're not fully online and are fully web-based. So you then also have to provide a printer and ink and paper and kind of those sorts of things that then are an extra cost on top of it. So this is a program that's fully web-based, so kids can do everything they need to do for that program on the iPad. It's iPad accessible, so we're already providing an iPad for every kid anyway. But it also works on any other piece of technology. So if we set up a lab somewhere that has laptops or desktops, it functions kind of no matter what platform they're working from. So it was neat. And kids get a nice clean dashboard of how much of the course they've completed. Teachers get a nice clean dashboard that's not alphabetical, but actually based on how much of the course kids have completed with the kids that are struggling to complete on top. So they've done, and they continue to buy companies. So they've bought some of the companies that we use anyway, like Odyssey. They just purchased. So it's kind of becoming another one of those like Frontline, where they're buying up the pieces and parts, and probably eventually will be a monopoly or something. But they do have some really nice programming that allows us to certainly offer something basic, but then also the ability probably to expand that as well.
The nice thing is we've worked 4 years to develop our dual enrollment program. So they have their own dual enrollment with other universities around the country that they dual enroll with. So that opportunity would still be there for our virtual kids, just like our kids that are coming to the brick and mortar school. So it's a good thing that we do here, that provider would also stay in line with us.
And also has some specialized pieces to it also, that kids could take a test and place where they are, and then it would work with those kids. So for math and language arts, and that's kind of a place we've struggled, because some of the programming that had been supported by the IU is no longer being supported. Our systems don't support it, so this actually has some of those pieces. Everything was closed captioned, and everything was allowed, and can be translated into, I think she said 61 different languages. So lots of really cool options and opportunities. So, and the closed captioning piece is nice for our kids who are low-level readers, so it reads aloud, but then they also see the words as they come across the bottom, which is a good kind of foundational reading strategy. So
From the educational standpoint, obviously, they expressed, but I think the financial standpoint in the win is that for every 10 students we can bring back, we look at bringing them back a little over $200,000 to the system. And that's a substantial, given our current financial straits. To get around 30 kids back in the system, $500,000 would be quite a coup for us.
Assume there's some costs, though, for the system?
yeah, so we didn't have that conversation, although I did ask a little bit. And they were a little bit flexible. They had some different, like, kind of pay-as-you-use options. They had some site license options. So we didn't have that conversation with her. We had asked for the, kind of, can we play with it a little
Sure.
bit first? And it's something that we're looking, and again, just sort of, if we're going to do it well. So looking for not September 19, but
20.
September 20, so that we spend really this fall semester hashing it out, figuring it out, and then being able to advertise that it will be an option for fall of 2020.
Okay.
And kids would then have all the benefits of being a Boone student, which they choose to leave and go to a cyber now, they don't.
Yeah.
So they could do the musical, the band, the chorus, they can play sports, they go to prom, they can do all those pieces and parts. There are probably ways to kind of play it both ways. If you want to do some online, but you want to take AP music theory, you can come to class, you can come to the
Blended
school and do that.
opportunities.
So some flexibility if we do it ourselves that we don't have for
Yeah.
kids who are leaving. So I think it's an exciting opportunity. I mean, obviously the financial piece is there too.
Yeah, currently our students that are in the Dana Boone program are through Berks Online Learning. So this obviously would be all-inclusive to not only have those students come back, which,
Yeah.
I believe will still be a little bit of a cost savings that will be get charged for BOL. But also the key is, as Mr. McKnight said, is trying to get those other
Those that are
students
with
and some of those
independent
kids that were
cybers,
charging
yeah.
for
Oh,
those
absolutely,
stores,
yeah.
get them back. That's where the very large savings would be.
Right.
So we're looking 9 to 12 to start with, although Ed Community does offer 6.
Okay.
So,
All right.
Okay, full day K. So we had a presentation, I think, was it last meeting or 2 meetings before?
Right.
And one of the things that Michelle and I met about is that we're recommending, obviously, to continue and to kind of punt down the road to re-examine some data as we build a bigger database. One of the pieces that was not expressed that we recommend looking at in terms of data, though, is it seems to be a rich pool of students growing who wanted to get in or qualified, but we didn't have enough staff, right?
Right.
So we think this is an ideal place to compare that population of kids who were in need but didn't get it versus the kids who were in need and did get it. That's the
I
real
see.
rich data point to see how effective the program is. Not just the kids who got it, who were in half day versus kids who were in full day.
Right.
So that's what we want to be able to study next year, and we'll see what the data yields from
Okay.
pieces.
So our recommendation would be to continue, because I think that the program was
Continue
set to
with
expire for 3
two classrooms.
years. So let's continue. My recommendation is to continue as is for another year and then reevaluate at the end of the 1920 school year with some, take a look at some additional data and then make a decision moving forward as to
Will we be ready to make that recommendation?
I
The
mean, I
thing
can make
is,
that recommendation. I'm concerned that we have kids that could take benefit of the program. I know
I know.
the additional data would be nice, but we're going to have kids that are at risk that aren't getting help if we just keep it.
I understand that some of the folks on the board, would like more hard data before we authorize it for a longer period of time. I don't like just authorizing it for 1 year. If it works, it works, and I would want to authorize it for another 3 years. Yeah, full
The full day.
full day for yeah,
For the
and
two
and I
classes.
yeah.
I
But-
think we were pretty, at least I was convinced that based on the data points that we've seen, that,
Yeah, so I don't see a reason why it would need to just be one more
yeah, I don't
year.
know. I don't understand
Well,
why.
Unless
Well, the reason I said 1 year is to reevaluate to see if we want to add additional.
Oh, okay.
Additional for.
That's not quite what I heard, sorry.
Keep what it is currently for another year, evaluate at the end of the 1920 school year to see if we feel it's necessary, based on the data, to add additional
By comparing
units of
by
full
comparing
day.
the other, the kids that are identified as maybe could benefit from that but didn't get in, to the ones that did get in, and determine if we want to recommend a third class or something along those lines. Does that make
Really
that
two
okay?
decisions.
I misunderstood that.
Whether
Sorry.
the program as it exists is successful and we should continue it, which I absolutely think we
I do
should.
too.
Right.
So, and then really, the only decision that we have to make then is, do we add to it?
Right.
So I think we should continue, in my opinion. I
So-
think there's one decision, yeah, should we continue it? Absolutely. Without end, we should continue it for those kids with genuine need. And then depending on what the data comes back, do we add one more class to make 3? Is it really 4? I don't know what the answer is.
So
but
the
2
recommendation,
for-
the recommendation would be that we're ready to keep going with having 2 classes as is that are full day, and that at the end of this year, to like in this same time period next year, I guess, at 2020, would it be March? I guess in March.
We would bring some similar presentations.
Yeah, like it was March or April, I think, what we did
You
that.
have to budget if you're going to expand.
Yeah, and so by March to reevaluate based on the criteria that Dr. Cooper, Mr. McKnight laid out, whether or not we want to be recommending 3 for the 2020 year. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
But like I said, I don't see why we should pause to see, that we know the 2 or should go forward. We can do that now. So I thought that was the point really of the presentation that we had received last time to show us the data points.
But there were extra questions that other board members had brought forth. Yeah, about whether we should add more, and so to, as you said, kind of move that decision on to the 2020-2021 budgeting time frame. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess the 2 are included in this year's budget.
Yes. So that would mean that we're recommending no change at the moment. That makes sense. All right. Thank you.
Mr. Spores.
So the handout that I gave you has,
You did not get one.
in accordance with Board Policy 126, it's the classes, there's 6 of them that have less than 10 requests for the next school year for the master schedule. I put any special notes that you need to know. The bottom 6, you can see there's a 1-rack dual enrollment class, which is the financial accounting, which leads into business and financial leadership pathway. The bottom 4 are all in the creative and performing arts pathway, and the music theory is a feeder to the AP music theory course. So without that, we would eliminate the kids able to take the AP music theory course.
Right. Yeah, without that class, they wouldn't be able to complete that pathway. Right.
And Mike will remember that if we go back to 4 or 5 years ago, this list was 36 courses, and we're down pretty traditionally now to these 5 or 6 courses. And it's almost always this model, AP.
Yes.
So we obviously believe in this particular program, and strongly recommend that you guys support it.
I have no issues. Do you have any questions?
I have a simple question, maybe. Why would somebody decide to take 2D design for AP Studio versus 3D?
Depends on what.
More than.
It depends on what the child excels at. Whether it's some excel in sculpture and mobile and build. And some excel just in drawing and painting and stuff like that.
Okay.
It depends on where you want to go to college and what you want to do with it.
I just don't remember seeing that. Just simple question. Thanks.
Yep, I have no.
No, that's okay. So the last piece on the agenda is the ADL, which is the
Did you want to keep a
League.
copy?
No.
I filled in the acronym for everybody. So this is sort of a 2-part piece at this point. We have done some investigating into the No Place for Hate program, which goes to our whole conversation around rebranding and kind of starting fresh and what do we want to look like and sound like, and it's a nationally known program. So we called originally about that and discovered that despite Dr. Cooper's best attempts at making them feel really guilty about putting us on a waiting list, we are still on a waiting list, although maybe only a year-long waiting list. So there is at least a year waiting list to participate fully in the No Place for Hate program at the high school. So the soonest we could do that piece for our high school would be, again, that 2021.
It's when all the magic happens.
Right,
2020.
But recognizing that there's a need to do something more immediately.
Okay.
I reached out to them again and said, well, okay, so that's great, but what do we do in the interim? And so the conversation in the interim has been really working with adults. And how do we as adults, how do our lenses filter our conversations and our decisions and our classrooms and our interactions with people? And I will say, from my own experience, that is work that we did when I was in Perkins Valley. As adults, as a sort of foundational piece to the No Place for Hate and with the kids. So we are having conversations with them around how do we do what is going to amount to 7 full-day workshops, and how do we keep that in a budget space in place that's grant-friendly, because it's not cheap.
7 full-day workshops for staff?
For staff. So,
okay.
7 full-day workshops. They will not work with groups of people that are more than 35 people.
Okay, so I should take the look of apprehension off my face, is what you're saying?
I have that moment on the
Okay.
So they will work only in groups of 35. I mean, those are heavy conversations. They're not a conversation you want to have with 150.
I think we've learned in the past that, a smaller group setting it works better, right?
So we started that conversation thinking about those 2 of those August in-service days, and taking 360 staff and dividing them into 35, which makes 10 groups, plus administrators makes 11, and the number that came back, we all went.
And that would mean like a facilitator from the group for each of the 10 groups.
You get 2 people and all of their materials and 6 hours of training time. So after we sort of picked our jaws off the floor, when the price came back at the discounted rate, we had some further conversations around, well, okay, who can we kind of cross-train? So my experience in the past has been that the work they do with administrative teams is in-depth and really thought-provoking, but that then administrators can go back and do some cross-training back with like paraprofessionals and secretaries and those folks. But then, okay, so if we pull those folks out, that leaves our professional teaching staff, and that actually pulled out almost 100 people, which was another 3, almost 4 groups, which we came back with them and said, well, how much would it cost? We don't do all 10 or 12, how about we do 7? So I'm waiting to hear back from her. She's lovely, but she's sort of, she has a conversation with me, and then she's got to go back and talk to her boss. So we're waiting to hear back from her.
All right. So those talks are ongoing, is what I hear.
They are ongoing.
All right.
But we know that it's issues that we know as a community we need to kind of have a conversation
Understood,
around.
yeah.
So
Can I ask what the jaw-dropping number was? How much was the number?
The jaw-dropping number was almost $22,000.
We think we can get it down almost half that, plus some grant writing opportunities.
Yeah, and we have staff development money, just that would be a lot of it all in one place. Yeah, exactly.
And we take a look at this, and we take a look at what we've developed over those 2 days of comprehensive planning. We'll wrap up on that on the 20th, and talking about redefining our mission is taking pride in growing diverse learners in a safe environment, and a vision that is learning together and advocating for all, and core beliefs of acceptance and respect and those sort of things. This ties directly in
with what we're talking about.
What we're, the direction that we're looking to grow.
I know there are grant opportunities in this area. Who's the unlucky soul who gets to write all the grants? Is that you? I'm sorry. For the listening public, that is Mr. Hurley. Okay.
So Mr. Hurley had some ideas about where it fit in a grant that he's writing anyway. So,
all right. Okay, great.
So that's where we're at.
Not $22,000 worth, though, I guess.
Not $22,000
okay.
worth.
All right. And the idea is that we are currently, they're looking at getting us off the waiting list for the student No Place for Hate program in 2020.
Yeah, we're going to really push them to get
good. Okay. I know a lot of other schools use it, and I've talked to friends who are educators who have good things to say about it.
And the Ys are all using it. So I think we felt that spending next year doing work with the adults shows a vested interest on the part of the district and gives us perhaps good standing on the waiting list. So, but I did ask them to place us on the
Okay.
waiting list. So.
You guys have any questions on that one?
No?
Moving forward. Anything else that's not on the list that anybody needs to bring to our attention? Any questions from the public? All right, it is 10 to 7, and I'm going to call the meeting adjourned.